And we are off and running. This is the Great Classic Rock Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul with no qualifications, and I'm running.
And I'm Steve.
And we talk anything and everything classic rock. We try to keep it interesting. We try to have fun. And we try to cover all possible topics. If you happen to be watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will love you for that. Don't forget to check out our sister channel, the Great Classic Movie Debate. I was thinking we might even, you guys talk a lot of sports. We might want to add in a Great Classic Sports Debate one of these days.
Yeah,
cool. Of course, yes.
Because some of the stuff you guys just on the chat, it's great. You know, it's red meat for us sports talk. You know,
I could do a whole hour on Jim Harfraud.
I could tell.
Wow.
I could tell. However, we won't do that tonight. For tonight, we're gonna. I tell you something, guys. This is a rare opportunity, and here's why. In the year 2023 and moving forward, there will not be too many opportunities to combine in a single show that we do two of the foundational ground floor classic rock artists who date all the way back to the early years of classic rock. Because, well, you know, obviously a lot of them aren't even still alive. But in this case, in the past 2 weeks, we have had a new release, a single, not an album, a single by the Beatles. And the week before that, I guess it was, the Rolling Stones released a new album. We did allude to that last show, but we ran out of time before we got too deep into it. So what I'd like to do tonight, if it's okay, I'd like to start off with the new song from the Beatles, and we can chat that one up for a few minutes and give our thoughts on that, and then sort of transition over into the Rolling Stones and that album, and we can finish out the show. Anyway, can I assume at this point that everybody has heard this Beatles song?
Yeah, I just heard it 5 minutes ago.
Okay, well, you've heard it. All right. More importantly, though, if you bothered to watch the YouTube video, there is a 12-minute, I guess we'll call it a mini doc or whatever. It just gives a very brief history of how this song came to be. And I got to tell you, I thought it was great. Oh my God. So let me do my best to recap, and I'll invite you guys to join in. In 1994 was when the plans had first started to do this Beatles anthology. And I got to tell you, this is just me now. I thought it was a terrible idea because it reeked of greed. Like, the Beatles have lots of greatest hits. They've got the blue greatest hits, the red greatest hits. They've got multiple, the Beatles #1s. They've got so much. Plus, all of their material is available on CD by that point in time. And I just thought, why are they doing this? And then it turns out that there are two new singles. And, you know, that became a thing probably back in the 80s where an artist releases a greatest hits package, but they add on a new single so that even if you own all the albums, you have to now go buy this just to get the new single. So when I heard they were doing this and they got the two new singles, I really was not enthused, and it just reeked of transparent greed. So when this thing was released, I didn't rush out and buy it like I typically would have back in those days. And when I heard that song, Free as a Bird, it confirmed for me, now everybody's welcome to disagree, it confirmed for me that they had simply dredged up a mediocre song that didn't make it onto one of the albums and then spruced it up a little bit to try to give it a fresh sound. I didn't hate the song, don't get me wrong, but to me, it just didn't come close to what we had all grown accustomed to as the Beatles standard. I thought it was beneath that. And you guys probably know this. Of all of the artists that have, been deceased over the years, their families, or maybe I should say their estate, whatever, who still owns the rights to all of the recorded music that was never, it's still sitting in a warehouse somewhere. None has been a more egregious offender than the estate of Jimi Hendrix. Oh my God. They've continued to release out so many albums of just horrible stuff, So this is what I thought of with the Beatles thing, even though I'm not going to use the word horrible. I'm just going to say substandard and mediocre. So I was so disappointed by that entire episode. Those songs from the mid 90s, those two songs, Free as a Bird and Real Love, you will not hear those to this day on adult contemporary. You won't hear it on an oldies. You won't hear it on a 90s station. They don't play it on anything because the songs just aren't that good. They just aren't that good. So anyway, with all of that said, when I heard the Beatles are going to do a new song, I was like going, have we been down this road? And then I heard the song and I watched this little documentary, and I thought I really liked the song, number one, but when you see the brief little story about how Yoko had held on to this cassette tape that John Lennon had recorded, God knows how many years ago, and the technology that was required to separate his voice off of the, not an HQ recording at all, and then bring in the other Beatles, who at that time were all still alive in the 90s, and then turn it into a song. I mean, I was just amazed by the whole thing. And I was touched, I was amazed, I was moved, and I like the song. So for me, it's a win in all directions. Okay, when do you guys take it?
Well, when you said greed, are you talking about Amanda Boston level greed?
I think so, Paul.
Okay, I want to make that clear because I can't really get a peg on greed until you peg it down for me.
Otherwise, it's inexplicable to me why anybody would have made a decision to add Free as a Bird onto. I don't even know why they released a triple album called the Beatles Anthology when all their stuff is already out there. And I think there were a bunch of alternate takes on there too.
Yeah, so I will disagree with you, Kenny.
Okay, go ahead.
I bought the Beatles Anthology. I think there were 3 of them.
There were.
Yeah, a lot of it was alternate takes.
Okay.
I think there were some live recordings.
I think so.
But I really enjoyed it, especially as a huge Beatles fan.
Okay, and question. And I'm asking this out of curiosity. I'm not looking down my nose at you, but you were a young guy then. Did you already own like the full Beatles catalog and all the greatest hits? Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, go ahead.
At that point. I mean, I had at least their greatest hits, and my dad had a lot of the Beatles records. That's how he had Abbey Road. I actually, funny anecdote, I bought him the Red and Blue albums for his birthday one year, or Christmas or whatever. Yeah. And then I just ended up borrowing it and kept them in my car for years.
We've all done that.
So and my dad's he's a much bigger Beatle fan than I am, but I really do like both of the songs from that. I would say, like, Free as a Bird, of the two, it's probably the weakest one, but it feels to me like that is would have been a track that belonged on like Abbey Road or something like that. Maybe not the best song on there,
right?
But there are lots of different elements on it. And I love Jeff Lynne. He produced that. And I could tell from the sound of it, he produced a lot of George Harrison songs. I could tell that was his influence on the guitar playing on that. And
quick question. Okay, so you mentioned Abbey Road. Wasn't Abbey Road the album that produced that Let It Be? Wasn't that on Abbey Road?
No, that was on Let It Be.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Jeez, what am I thinking? I looked the Beatles.
Like Octopus's Garden is probably, I would compare Free as a Bird to like Octopus's Garden.
I love Octopus's Garden.
It's a decent song.
I do too, and I would say it's because it's playful in a way. It has that kind of more juvenile. I wouldn't say it's a juvenile song, but it has maybe more.
That was Ringo's song.
Correct.
Yeah, I love Ringo. I could not pick a favorite Beatle. That's me. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, I do not look down on the anthology. And also, I mean, you got to realize, like, they had been broken up for 25 years, and Lennon was dead. So it was still, you were really introducing a whole new generation to the Beatles, so to speak. So I think it was fair. I don't think it was
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That was
cash money grab.
Okay.
I think it was 4 guys who were really, they were friends, and this was their chance to record, 1 or 2 last things. And they tried to record or release the new song that just came out now and then. At the time, they didn't have the technology to do it. So
correct. Right. Which that makes the story even more fantastic, because they had the tape and they wanted to do something with it. but there was no way to, the quality was low and there was no way to separate the vocal from the piano, and it was murky anyway. So they just said, we'd love to, but it's not going to happen.
And those two songs, Free as a Bird, I've heard like the original recording on that, and it's still, it's hard. You can hear some of the other instruments. So I just find it fascinating that they were able to do it with that song and not the other one, or two of the songs.
Okay.
Did they get permission from Leonard Skinner to do the Free Bird cover, or what happened there?
It's a great question.
Probably written before. I mean, I know you're joking, Steve. Paul. I know you're joking, but really, it was probably written before.
And this bird you can never change, Steve. Come on now. No, I listen to now and then. Just now, it didn't blow my skirt up.
Right.
And it's the Beatles. They have what some of the other. It's unexplainable. Like if you explain Eleanor Rigby to somebody, tell somebody why you like that song and let them listen to it. And if you have 100 people who all like the song, they're going to tell you 100 different reasons why they like it. And it's one of these weird, like I talked to this guitar player, and he said that Harrison was his favorite guitar player because there was never one note extra. When there was space, they wanted space. When there was notes, there were notes.
Right.
And that's this guy from that band My Evolution, Steve. He said they worshipped the Beatles because they didn't play anything like the Beatles, but there was never any extra extraneous noise. All the pauses were planned. All the silence of the song was planned. Like Eleanor Rigby, half that song is silence. If you think about it, like if you go to a movie theater, people don't realize this. Half the time of a movie, the theater is dark. Okay? Because it's 24 frames per second. When that frame goes, there's a time you can't see it because the persistence of the vision of the light in our irises keep it there. But half the time in the movie theater is dark.
Yeah, but
FYI,
the filmmakers are not planning that.
I know it's our way our eyes work.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
But you're right. There's no wrong. They don't have a lot of filler notes in there. I think I really like those two songs, and I like Now and Then. I didn't really care for it so much the first time I heard it, and I've listened to it a handful of times, and it's really sad. I mean, watching the music video, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see all the memories, but it's also just it's such a sad song.
Very mixed emotions watching the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're looking at something, you're like, wow, this will never, ever happen again, having these four people. And we all know that, but it's just bringing them all together. And you're like, wow, how great would it have been to had the chance to have all four of them reunite, for one show. That would have been like on Saturday Night Live where they offered them $300 or what was it? The episode of, did you ever see that on Saturday Night Live?
No, I don't think so.
Back in the early 70s, it was one of the first seasons. I think George Harrison may have been on. Anyways, Lorne Michaels came on and said, I will give the four Beatles, each of you, I'll pay you $4,000 or something like that to come on down and perform live on Saturday Night Live. And they're like, if you want to give Ringo less, by all means.
Oh,
it's kind of a joke, but it was funny. And because I think George Harrison was on that episode, but as the musical guest. But it's a funny take. So
didn't Led Zeppelin turn down $1 billion for the tour?
I know they tried to get them to reunite with Jason Bonham.
Yeah, but I heard they turned down $1 billion.
I don't know what they turned down, but they really thought that was going to happen. Jason, if you listen to Jason Bonham after they played the
O2 thing,
the O2, yeah, they were talking about it on the limo ride after the show, and apparently Robert Plant was like, "Yeah, I don't feel like doing it."
Oh,
and that was all because of Plant. So, yeah, it's kind of a shame. But anyways, we kind of got off track.
Well, anyway, we won't stay on this much longer. But I just wanted to first of all, I want to recommend the song because I think it's a good song. And as you guys both mentioned, it grows on you. The first time you may or may not, but by the second and then third and the fourth, you go, wow, I'm starting to really like this song. And it definitely has a Beatles vibe. And I checked, most of the Beatles' body of work took place in the 60s, but 3 of their songs that were from the Let It Be album actually charted in the calendar year 1970. Let It Be, Long and Winding Road, and Across the Universe. Okay, those 3 songs. And for me, this song, Now and Then, has the same kind of vibe as those 3 songs. It's not, so I saw her standing there. Okay, it's not.
No.
Yeah. And,
I would have said, yeah, if this was released on Let It Be, it would fit perfectly.
I think it would fit right in. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I highly recommend it. And if you get a chance, watch the little 12-minute mini documentary. It's moving and you'll really like it. So anyway, if you guys have any further thoughts, you can add them now. Otherwise, we'll move on.
I will just say one comment that you brought up earlier is that how great is it that all these years later, you're having songs by the Rolling Stones and the Beatles come out within a week of each other.
It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
People today have no idea. I mean, kids today, they have no idea how lucky they are to actually see something like that.
Right. So. And for the 3 of us doing these shows, I mean, the closest we'll ever come to that is another member of Van Halen died this week or something like that, you know, but it won't be 2 of the foundational artists of classic rock with new releases. Moving forward, that's probably never going to happen again. So, okay, let's go to the Stones. We alluded to it last time. New album, Hackney Diamonds, just released this year. Steve, didn't you give us a quick little background on the name, Hackney Diamonds?
Yeah,
all right, tell us again.
Glass. Yeah, Hackney Diamonds is the slang term for broken glass from the windows in a rough part of town of London.
Right. Okay.
They called, Hackney Diamonds is just the broken glass. Somebody got in a fight, busted out a window, or robbed a store.
Right. Which nobody would have known. So thank you for Googling that. Okay. And I recall saying last time out that the opening track for me, Angry, had sort of a start me up kind of vibe about it. It has a good rock energy to it. And I don't think it's quite as good a song as Start Me Up, but I thought it was still a pretty strong opener. Let's move forward from there. What do you guys want to add?
Well, I talked about, did either one of you watch the video for it?
Oh, I didn't yet.
The video, it's one of those, like, I like the song. I like it, but the video and the song, it augments it. Like, you're going to laugh. I like the song Vogue. That's probably the only one of 3 songs of Madonna I like. But the video and the way that David Fincher cuts that video, he's a very famous director, for those you don't know. It's like every bump, it's the video changes, and it's really, so this video really augments it, makes it come to life.
Is Charlie Watts playing next to him all?
I can't remember.
Because they did that in the Beatles video.
Charlie Watts was playing?
No,
I'm just joking.
They had the 2, Paul McCartney or Lennon and Harrison playing in the video,
which would have been impossible, right?
Right.
Sorry, it was kind of a bad joke that maybe.
Oh no. But Steve is onto something. He might even realize it. Steve and I went to see Black Sabbath about 5-6 years ago. Right?
Yeah. Their
Rival Sons opened. We saw them. They were tremendous. I loved it. I enjoyed it. So Steve was kind enough to, I think I paid you for my ticket. I can't even remember. Probably. But they had like these cool things they gave out, like a photo album and really cool stuff. So I think at some point I was at the train station in Denver going back to my house, and it was like 0 degrees outside. And I start going through it, and at first I'm like, because it's dark there. And I realized there's not a picture of Bill Ward in this whole bloody album. They have went out of their way to cut every picture of Bill Ward, the drummer of Sabbath, out. And I'm like, this is mean, vindictive. Unless the only reason I say they could have done it is unless he insisted on being paid for having this photo in there, which I don't think he would have. But, and I was, so when you said, was Charlie Watts in there, I don't know. Like, if Charlie Watts in the video, does that mean his estate gets more money? I don't, hold it, right?
Probably. Well, You have a great point. Because when this happened, I remember you told me about that, and I looked it up. Now this may have changed. I haven't been on the Black Sabbath website for a long time, but you could not find one picture of Bill Ward. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happens on the business side of who owns the band and whatnot. So, that could have played into it. But when Charlie Watts died, if you went on the Rolling Stones website, all they had was just his picture. You couldn't click on anything else. And that was up for, at least a few days, maybe a week or two. Couldn't do anything else. It was just a picture of Charlie Watts. So I doubt, I don't know what the ownership structure of the Stones is, but, I doubt that I'm sure if you go on their website, there's pictures of Charlie Watts, unlike what they did to Bill Ward and Sabbath. So, but I think to get back on track or on topic, I think it's a great record. I don't think it's their best. Obviously, I don't think it's their best.
Right.
I give it probably a solid B-. Yeah. There are a couple of songs on there that I really, really like. A couple of filler songs.
Right.
I do find I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but this song I didn't realize it was Lady Gaga when it first came out. To me, it's just a backup singer, but it's the second to last track on the album.
Right.
I forget
Sweet
the
Sound
name
of
of the
Heaven.
song. Yeah, that is a really good song, and it's got that soulful sound to it.
Yeah,
I really enjoy that track. To me, it could be anybody singing background on it. It's not, to me, it's not relevant. Like that.
Agreed.
I listen to it because I like Mick Jagger. And then the last track on it, Rolling Stone Blues, obviously a callback to their founding.
Nice.
And there's a few other songs on there. Whole Wide World, I really enjoy that song.
I think so too.
And
I thought that Whole Wide World and Get Close, and I don't know if you know this or not, but the second track, Get Close, Elton John plays with him on that one. Okay. I thought those were, as far as rock songs, I thought those were both standout rock tracks. Good Rolling Stones energy on those, and I liked them both right away.
What I'm disappointed with it's just the music industry in general. I don't buy vinyl. I still think vinyl was surpassed by CD for a reason. Right. But I like to actually buy something and own, own something. Right. And in this day and age, you can't really buy albums anymore. I can't even buy CDs. They may have this available, but I don't even have a CD player in my car, and it drives me nuts.
Right.
So that's me being old, I guess. But I like to actually buy stuff and support the band. Not that the Stones need any of my money, but
right.
No, you need.
No, your point is valid. Go ahead.
It's a good record. I would encourage people to go out, especially if obviously if you're listening to us, you like classic rock, and support these bands. Again, they don't need our
Stones.
Support.
They need your support.
They don't need our support. But if you want this type of music to live on,
you're here. You're right.
You got to support it.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
I agree.
So don't be one of these guys that says, "Oh, I don't like anything made past 1970." Like, these guys are artists. They're still making great music, and it sounds, it sounds like rock and roll for the most part.
No, it's good. Yeah, I think it's good. Paul, thoughts?
I haven't heard the album yet. I've been crazy busy, and I got girls, so I got kids, and I have to.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like I know I'm shopping for Hawaiian shirts.
That's it. Hey, Steve, would you say this album is better? That was good. Better than Voodoo Lounge?
No, I would say it's very similar, but Voodoo Lounge has a track on there by Keith Richards that I really enjoy.
Was that about 94 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that now, again, I was in high school and didn't grow up with the Stones like you, well, more or less like you guys did.
Right.
Yeah. But I still think that's one of their best records. Voodoo Lounge. I don't think, because there's not a bad song on the album. And to me, that's what makes a great record. Now, you can obviously you don't have songs on there like you do like Paint It Black. It's not like Sticky Fingers.
Right.
But again, a lot of even the earlier Stones albums, they have a few throwaway tracks on some of those records. Even the Beatles have a few throwaway songs on some of their earlier records. But on Voodoo Lounge, I don't think there's a throwaway song on there. And on this new album, maybe there's one or two throwaway songs, but I haven't had a chance to really go through, digest the entire album yet, but it's pretty solid.
I think so too. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, Steve, since you're talking Voodoo Lounge, in your opinion, why did radio not really pick it up too much? It didn't get a lot of radio play.
I remember seeing it on MTV, but if I had to guess, it's because you're going back to the 90s. It wasn't alternative. And
yeah, that's a good point.
A lot of people with rock and roll, it's like, who are these, who are these old these guys are old. We don't want to listen to these people.
Right. Yeah.
But if you haven't heard it, I really encourage you to go back and there's some nice kind of, it's not a hard rock record, but there's some good like kind of ballads on there.
Okay.
But I think it's the opening track, Love Is Strong. I mean, that's a great song.
Okay. It's been so long since I've listened to that record. I just don't remember it that well.
I don't remember much.
There's a harpsichord. I think Keith Richards plays a harpsichord on the song The Worst. And again, he sings on it, and it's fantastic.
I don't think there's an instrument that Keith Richards and John Paul Jones cannot play.
Probably not.
So, but I was going to say something. Steve, you brought me Kenny in the 70s. It was a crappy decade. Politically, just crap. But yeah, a couple of things to look forward to. Muhammad Ali fighting.
Yeah.
It was an event. And the other thing I looked for in the 70s was Zeppelin, Sabbath, and the Stones releasing an album.
Yeah.
And in the 70s, the Stones just, I mean, I can remember when, oh my God, like when Tattoo You came out, that was 80, right? Or 80.
No, it was 78. And they had the habit of releasing their album like right at the beginning of summer. I don't know if that was by accident, but they would do it. So school is out and you can hang out with your buddies, drive around the car and play the Rolling Stones on your 8-track. It was the best. It was the best.
I mean, Jagger was on Saturday Night Live. He was licking the pole like he was singing on Saturday Night Live. And then Undercover of the Night came on. And then Some Girls was before that. And he had like this social commentary stuff. Like, I think we talked about that before, where Some Girls is all about New York City.
Right.
And, and like the song Shattered, he's talking about what a crap hole. Hey, guess what? It's a crap hole again. But because
he wrote that on while he was in a cab, Shattered.
Yeah, exactly. I've got rats on the west side, bed bugs uptown, people dressed in plastic bags, that all that stuff. And then Waiting for a Friend. What a great, I mean. And then like on Too Much Blood, that's on Undercover of the Night. And he's talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he's probably repeating myself, but he goes, I want to see something more romantic, like Officer and a Gentleman. I want to take a lady too. And he had these great commentaries. No one else did that back then, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I would say you brought up a good point. Waiting on a Friend. Voodoo Lounge probably sounds a lot like that record, Tattoo You.
Man, that's a great album.
There's a couple of songs on there that really sound like that. And I screwed it up. The harpsichord song is not the worst by Keith Richards. That's a great song, but it's New Faces, I think is the name of the song. But still, check it out. Let me know what you think. So it's a good record. I mean, it was on MTV. It got a lot of airplay on MTV.
It did.
Okay. All right. Okay, gentlemen, we got our warning. So we're going to go ahead and start to wrap it up. But let's think of, since we're talking about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, if you want to nominate some sort of obscure or lesser known track from these guys for tonight's growing classic rock playlist, please feel free. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go first, and I really like this new album. So I'm going to pick a song off of here. I mentioned last week, I think I like Whole Wide World the most. And since that time, it's now a tie between Whole Wide World and Get Close. So I'm going to nominate Get Close, which is actually track 2. And I'm nominating simply because Elton John plays with them on it. And I just think it's a great, catchy rock song. It grows on you quickly. So if you haven't gotten this CD yet, I encourage you to get it and play the whole thing. You'll like it, but track 2 is a standout. So there you go.
Steve, you want to go? You want me to go?
No, I'll go if you're not ready.
No, go ahead. I'm ready, but go ahead anyway.
So I'm going to nominate Dead Flowers, but not the Rolling Stones version, because most people have heard that. I learned of this song when I was in high school because it was on a Gilby Clarke record, who replaced Izzy Stradlin in Guns N' Roses for a brief period in the 90s. And so it was on his first solo album, and I really liked the song. And I didn't, years later, I was going through the liner notes and I realized, oh God, this was a Stones song that they had originally written. So, you know, that's me being just a stupid high school kid, but check out the Gilby Clarke version of Dead Flowers.
Gilby Clarke is awesome. His albums, you turn me on to his solo albums, they're both just tremendous.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a really obscure song. You two probably know it. I'll give you $1 to each one of you. Tell me who covered it. It's called 2,000 Light Years from Home. It's like a really trippy, like they're doing drugs and it's, you know, the coolest songs. They played it, believe it or not, on the Steel Wheels tour, which I saw in Orange Bowl in Miami. You ever heard that song? Oh,
and you're asking who covered it?
Yeah, you will not know this, Kenny. I would stake my life on it.
Okay.
There's a band, my #1 album of all time, top 3.
The
is
Cult?
a group, Monster Magnet.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they cover 2,000 Light Years from Home, and they do a really good job of it. I'm like, whoa, it's a trippy song. You ever heard of it, Kenny?
The Stones version, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's fitting that Monster Magnet covered it.
What?
It is fitting that Monster Magnet covered it.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the joke.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the joke.
Smoke's pretty cool.
Oh, Smoke's pretty cool. Yeah.
I saw them live. This was like 25 years ago, and they started blowing the fog machine, and my friend in the perfect Beavis voice or Butthead said, "Smoke's pretty cool."
Yeah.
Those were the days. Those were the days.
Oh my God.
Okay, so listen, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up then. If you have any final thoughts, you can add them. I'm just going to say for anybody watching this right now, that new Beatles song Now and Then, and I hope if you're watching it, it's still a new song. If you're watching it in the future, it's not new anymore. Highly recommended. New Stones album, highly recommended. Guys, any final thoughts?
Nope. The video. See the video for Angry.
As soon as we finish the video for Angry by the Stones, we'll do that. Okay, then that's a wrap. So this is the Great Classic Rock Debate. I'm Kenny.
I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
If you're watching right now, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will love you for that. Check out our sister channel, the Great Classic Movie Debate. Until we meet again, we will see you next time.